Welcome to the Tied Together podcast, where we feature everyday people doing extraordinary things. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share so others can join in on the conversation too. I haven't met a woman so determined to succeed in my entire life. Shashawn Dublin made the decision that she wanted what she wanted for her life and took every step she could to get there. Today, she is the owner and broker of Obee Realty, an Airbnb host, and an active participant in the development of her community. This woman has jumped over hurdles to get to where she is now and shares her knowledge with many around her in order to help them navigate their way to financial freedom. Get ready to learn on a whole new level and welcome Shashawn Dublin.
Hey. Oh, that was sweet. That was nice. I like that.
It is all true, all true.
Hey, world.
So Obee Realty is your business and your brand. Right. Tell the people a little bit about it.
Well, I've been in real estate for about 16 years now. And I decided to do Obee Realty because I wanted to leave a legacy for my family. I could have continued to be an independent broker, but I wanted to employ and give something back to my own family and community. I had no one growing up to say, here you go, or here, this is how you do it. Unfortunately, like a lot of African-American families, you got to learn as you go. And that's how Obee Realty came about. I learned as I grew, and I created my brand behind it.
Awesome. So how did you get into real estate in the first place? Was it somebody you knew or?
This is a funny story, okay?
Okay.
I got a degree in legal studies. So I had been working for a law firm. I decided early on what I wanted to do. I was in a real estate sector from the time I was like 19 years old. So I decided that I wanted to pursue something in the law field. Not necessarily real estate, but when I got my first job, it was in the real estate field pertaining to law. So I did that for quite some time, and our mutual friend, Greg Green, would try to recruit me all the time. Oh, you need to get your license. And I'm like, listen, I'm 19 years old, making $40,000. I don't need to do that. I'm good, right? So I decided to leave my long-term job and pursued another job in the city, and I hated it. I hated the commute. I hated the people. I just hated it. Mm-hmm. So I left that job. And when I left that job, that was my opportunity to go to real estate school. So the first week that I was out of work, I spent that week getting my real estate license.
That's
along
awesome.
With Greg. He was getting his broker's license at that time.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that part.
So we went to class together. So
oh, wow.
He pushed me into it.
Yeah, sometimes it has to happen like that. So you're 19 at this time. You quit your job and you're moving into real estate. Were you nervous? Were you
Well, scared? You know what? I was 19 when I first pursued my career in the legal real estate field.
Gotcha.
I was 26 when I started to get into the real estate field as far as sales. Okay. So it was just something that was new. I wasn't doing anything else, so I just jumped right into it.
That's true.
And it worked out.
That's true. So what things in your early real estate journey, what kind of obstacles did you run into that may have seemed insurmountable at the time and obviously were not?
Well, I never had a problem. Usually with people in real estate, because you have to put yourself out there, I never had a problem with that. Mm-hmm. So that part was definitely not an issue. And, thankfully, I knew people in the field from being in the real estate sector. So it was quite easy for me in the beginning. Once I got my license and I let people know, they were like, okay, well, here's a client. My kindergarten friend happened to be a mortgage broker at the time. And he gave me my first client, he gave me my first client. And from there, things just kept going.
That's dope.
I did still have a full-time job. So it wasn't my passion at the time, but it was just my side hustle.
Right, right.
you know.
So were you still in the legal field while you were doing real estate in the early stages?
Yes, I went back to work eventually, because real estate, if you're not in it, you don't know the value of it.
Mm.
So at that point, I was still stuck on getting a paycheck. That was my thing. Like, all right, well, I can do this, but I need my security with my paycheck.
Right.
So I went back to work and I continued to do real estate, on the side,
Yeah.
and that became overwhelming.
I'm sure there's a lot of hours in real estate,
Right, right.
in a
There are
regular
no hours
job.
in real estate.
Right, right. You have to create your hours, first of all,
Right,
but you
right.
had your full-time job and then you're doing real estate. And if you're doing any kind of business, it's going to take a lot of time out of you showing places over and over and over again, taking your client here and there, doing the paperwork. So I'm sure that took a lot of work.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said regarding you having a lot of people in real estate that was helping you out, do you think that was part of the key to your success early on?
Definitely so. Definitely so. Because I feel like if I did not have those connections, I might have given up. Statistically, they say that within the first 2 years of getting licensed, people don't renew their license because you have to really be out there pushing yourself.
Right.
And Green Team Realty was great, but I didn't depend on them to get my clients. I got my clients from my outsourcing. So that was a plus in itself. That definitely gave me the encouragement to keep going,
Absolutely.
because it's hard. It's hard work, especially back then. Right now we have social media, so you can do everything online. You don't even have to leave your house to market your business. So back then you had to really hit the pavement and
Mm-hmm.
hit the street.
That
You
makes
know,
sense. That makes
yeah.
sense. So what would you say to somebody that's just starting out in real estate and they don't have those connections? Where should they go? Who should they turn to?
Well, I think that they should find a brokerage that is personable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Me myself personally, I love the experience that I had at Green Team because it was not it was a mom and pop shop, so it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a big corporation. I didn't feel like I was lost. If I did have a question, it was easy to attain the answer because of the small type firm. Um, so I know a lot of people they want to deal with the big corporations because they want that corporate name backing them, but a lot of people that I've encountered have told me that they've been lost. I've no agents now that have been in the business for a year and haven't even had a sale,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because they're lost,
Right, right.
you know.
I can agree with you on that as far as my experience in the car dealership.
Yeah.
So when I first got into the car business, I knew the manager and the
Mhm.
manager groomed me personally. Every day he'd take time and he'd show me the road to the sale, which
Yeah.
is a phrase that we use in the car business, but there's 10 steps to the sale. And he showed me each and every step. Every day we go over it. We rehearse, how to speak to a customer, how to open a deal, how to close a deal, and things of that nature. And I thought that was normal, but it's not. Right.
Right.
It's not the norm because I saw salespeople come in after me that did not know the management and they were just kind of left to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
So, and that was a smaller dealership. And I've been in larger dealerships where it's the same deal where you just come in and you just fend for yourself. So you want that name behind you and that sounds good, but if you don't know what you're doing, then you're kind of left to the wolves and to fend for yourself.
Right.
That's
Right.
not that's not too much fun.
No, not at all. And I see you got that Perfectly Flawed T-shirt on.
Yes, yes.
Shout out to Perfectly Flawed.
Hey, I have a story that'll make you believe in God. Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
Right. We all
Eh,
do.
yes, yes, we do. We all do. We all do.
Right.
And that
Right.
is one of the purposes of this podcast to let everybody know that you are not strange. Your story is not weird.
Right.
People just like you are doing the things that you want to do, and they're coming from the places that you have come from, and you can do it too.
Right.
So, speaking about coming from the places you have come from, so you're in real estate now, you have your own company, your own business. Did you see anything like that growing up? Did you have
No.
parents? Nothing like that.
No. Nothing like that. Nothing. Everything that I've learned by my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, unfortunately, in our communities, it's not, anything that's readily available. They're not telling us about getting your finances in order and credit. It's
Mm-hmm.
about survival.
Mm-hmm.
And, like most people that grew up in the hood, they had to survive. It wasn't, you know, they didn't care about those extra things. They cared about getting that pack of chicken for that night for dinner, you know. So no, unfortunately, I did not. It was, you know, something that I learned, and I dedicated myself to, because I wanted more for myself, you know.
Yeah.
I was in certain situations in life where I was like, you know what, I got to keep pushing, because if not, there is no if not. I have to keep pushing. You know, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it.
yeah. When I was younger, I don't even know if my mom's gonna be like upset about me telling the story, but I'm gonna tell anyway. We lived in this house, and we had a landlord, and our landlord didn't keep our house up at all. We weren't tearing the house up. It wasn't very many of us in the house, but we weren't tearing it up. But the house had issues, and he wasn't addressing it. And there was one time where he was selling the house while we were in it. We didn't even know, right? We didn't even know that the house was for sale. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Until people came to view the house. And my mother, sweet as pie, let them come in to view the house. Me now as an adult, not happening. There's no way. You didn't tell me that people are coming to look. Anyway, so our pipe wasn't working in the tub. The pipe that fills up the tub, not the shower head, but so we had a crutch jammed in between the wall and the pipe to put pressure on it, right? To put pressure on it to keep the water off.
Okay.
So people are coming in the house, they're looking at the house. One family laughed at it.
Why wouldn't he fix these things before trying to sell a house?
It was special, okay?
Right.
So I'm really embarrassed. I'm young. I'm like elementary school at this point. Yeah, I was in elementary school. And one of our neighbors came to view the house. And that's the family that laughed at our pipe. And I am just mortified. Like,
because that's your neighbor.
Oh my God. I am just mortified completely. I know it's nothing of our own. It's not our own fault. I know that we keep the house up. It was clean, at least.
Right.
But broken.
Right.
And I remember being that little and saying to myself, this will not be my life. I will not live this way for the rest of my life. I had no idea how I was going to change it. I had to be like 9, but I had no idea how I was going to change that situation for anybody, but I just knew in my head it would not be my life. So in asking you, did your childhood experiences reflect your current experiences? It may not have mirrored it, but were those experiences, you think, maybe the catalyst that brought you to say, you know what, I have to do better. This is why.
Most definitely, we were poor. Like, you know, I didn't want to be poor. I wanted stability. So, you know, that right there in itself was like, you know what, I have to do better. My mother had me when she was 18 years old. So she was a teenage mom. That in itself tells you that, you know, I had plenty of love. I was never abused. I had clean clothes. I had, you know, a loving situation. But, you know, for a teenage mom, you know, with the assistance of her sisters, her brothers, her grandmother, you know, it was a lot, you know. And I grew up with all of those personalities. That's a lot, okay? You know, I took a lot of things from them, but growing up with all those personalities, one, I swore up and down my first place. I was like, you know what? I need to live alone because it's too many people. Too many people. I need to live alone. My mother has, she has 4 sisters and 5 brothers.
And y'all all live together?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Did they have kids too?
A lot. It's a lot.
They had children as well?
No, I was the first. I was the first for a very long time. You know, not all of them lived there, but most of them did. But you know, my mother is like the 5th oldest. So yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up with my aunts. I have an aunt that's 7 years older than me. So yeah.
I understand.
Right.
I have aunts similar in age. So since I've known you, you've been very driven, very determined. You say you're going to do something and it happens, you know, and even if it's not happening right now, you're setting up those stones so you can get to the next step. Would you say that is where you get that drive from, or are there other factors that play into your drive and how you're so ambitious?
You know, Keisha, honestly, I don't know where I get it from because, like I said, I have no examples in my family. You know, I was the first one in my family to have a business. I wasn't the first to own a house, but I was the first to have a business. Um, just those examples of growing up, I just knew that I wanted to do more and I just kept pushing. So whatever I set my eyes to or my goals to, I tried to pursue it and complete it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm not about quitting. So if I
Mm-hmm.
start something, I'm going to finish it or
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do it at all.
Right, right.
And I'm
Um,
going to give my 100% everything in it or
yeah.
not do it at all.
Yeah, yeah. And I can attest to that. I can vouch for you for that. I've seen you in action. So that's
Yeah.
absolutely true. Um, in my own life, I've had trouble starting. Um, just different things in my life that I knew I should be doing, whether it was going to school or even getting a job. There were times in my life where I didn't work. Well, I won't say times. There was a time in my life where I did not work. I wasn't doing anything and I wasn't looking to do anything.
Right.
For one reason or another, it was after Sean's passing. I was going through all these emotional issues, but I was having trouble starting. I knew that I wanted more for myself and I knew what I should be doing, but that spark just was not happening. And I know a lot of people deal with that. They just
Right.
don't know how to get up and get started. Do you have any advice for somebody that may be struggling with that they know they should be doing better, but just can't get up?
Well, you know what? For me personally, my troubles made me a self-starter. So,
Mm-hmm.
my circumstance at the time might have been screwed up, and I was like, you know what? I got to get out of here. And in order to get out of here, I got to make a move. So you just look at your current circumstance, and if it's something that you need to get away from or do better, push yourself to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to start.
Yeah.
Okay, you won't complete, you won't do anything without commencing that action. You have to start.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's pretty much my advice. Like, if you feel it in your heart and if it's an idea, pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, the only thing that's holding you back is you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I heard, I think her name is Mel. I think, I don't remember her last name. She does a series of podcasts as well, but she was talking about motivation, and she said that motivation is just false. You can't rely on some wonderful feeling in the morning to get you started. Like, I'm just waiting to get motivated, and that it doesn't exist. I believe that to an extent. I like the word motivation. I feel motivated sometimes, but it is a fleeting feeling. You don't always feel motivated.
Right,
I'm a firm believer in just do it anyway.
right.
Regardless of how you feel, just get up and do it anyway. You have to brush your teeth, but you don't feel like getting up. Get up and brush your teeth. Just do it anyway. Then it becomes
Get
muscle
it over with.
memory. You know,
Right. Get it over with.
it becomes muscle memory. It really does. It really does.
I feel like, like I said, most of the times when I pursued something, I was in a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
So my new baby, because I didn't even tell you about my new baby. I gave birth to another baby today.
I can't
Right?
wait to hear about it.
So my new baby is called the Angel Agency. And the Angel Agency is an agency derived around surrogacy. They just passed a law in New York. Well, they didn't pass the law yet. They just passed the bill, April 3rd, 2020, to allow compensated gestational surrogacy in New York. Now, prior to that, you had to have a friend or a family member carry your baby for you, basically, if
Huh.
they were willing to do that.
Really?
Um, Now, because of my own personal situation,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to create this agency since they are passing the law February 21, February, February 15th, 2021.
That's
So
awesome.
the agency will assist or match families with potential surrogates
Hmm.
to hold their babies, carry
Yeah,
their babies for 9 months.
that's
They'll be
awesome.
compensated because
Mhm.
the law permits for them to be compensated now, but that wasn't the case.
Hmm.
Um, and there are so many families that want to start families. There's so many people that want to start families and they can't. And
Right.
this law prevented them from doing it. They were trying to, outsource internationally. They would bring an international student to come to New York just to have their baby.
Wow.
They were just doing all types of illegal practices that didn't really protect them.
Mm-hmm.
This act basically protects them as parents as soon as the agreement is signed. They have legal rights over their embryo
Mm-hmm.
as soon as the paperwork is signed and the agreement is signed. So that's my new baby. That's my new venture.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I did not know that.
Nope. I saved it just for you.
Good. I'm glad to hear about it. I'm so excited. I didn't know that in New York you couldn't have a surrogate that wasn't related to you. So you said either
No,
friend or
you
family member?
actually, you can have a friend, you can have a family member, but they can't be compensated.
You can't pay them for it. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But
No.
now they can be, and that opens the
They can
doors for
do
a
it as
lot.
they can do it as a favor, but who's going to carry your baby for 9 months? Who's going to go through? First of all, the treatments are grueling in
Mm-hmm.
itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so they have to be an angel to
Mm-hmm.
do such a thing. So that's why
Yeah.
I named it the Angel Agency, because for someone to do that for someone, they have to be an angel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special thing, and I'm
Yes.
excited about it. I can't wait.
I'm so excited for you. Um,
Yeah.
do you mind sharing what brought that on, the agency?
Sure, because I want to be transparent with it because, in our community, infertility is like a taboo subject. You
Mm-hmm.
don't talk about it. Women feel embarrassed to talk about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I just started feeling all right talking about it. Recently, Michelle Obama opened up in her book about Sasha and Malia being IVF babies.
Mm-hmm.
Candy Burris, she got a surrogate. A lot of celebrities got surrogates.
Yes.
I didn't even know. Well, I did know this, but it was kept on a hush hush. But Angela Bassett has twins. She's been with her husband for
Yeah.
years,
I did
and
know that, and I always forget.
her twins are IVF surrogate babies. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's been around for quite some time, but it's a taboo subject. Like I said, women
Mm-hmm.
feel embarrassed to talk about it.
Right.
In my personal experience, my husband and I have gone through the eye test, and we lost our twins late term at 20 weeks. And just going in the clinics, the fertility clinics, you don't even realize how many people are going through the same thing that you are until you walk in those rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, the waiting rooms are packed
Mm-hmm.
to capacity. And you're like, wow. Like,
Wow.
I was there one time and I saw a friend of mine and I was like, wow,
Wow.
okay, how you doing? I guess we're both here for the same thing.
Right. Right.
That in itself was comforting. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, other people are going through this,
Yeah.
to complete their families.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what drove me to create the Angel Agency,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that so many people, especially Black and Brown women,
Mm-hmm.
this subject is taboo and they don't know who to turn to. It's
Right.
not easy to talk to a friend about this if they're not going through it.
Right.
I've been in support groups with other women that discuss it, and they can't talk openly to their friends about it. They feel embarrassed. I'm
Yeah.
not embarrassed about anything that happens in my life. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of open book. But if my story and my situation can help someone else, why not
Mm-hmm.
share it? That's
Yeah.
my on it.
Absolutely. It's important for especially you to be sharing this part of your journey because, like you said, a lot of people are going through the same situation and they
Right.
don't realize that there are others like them. Like when you saw your friend in the waiting room, that's powerful. When you feel alone, imagine if the waiting room was empty. Imagine if your
Right.
friend wasn't there. Then yeah, you would feel like it was just you all by yourself. But it's
Right.
not just you. And it's not just the people that are watching. People go through this in all stages and phases of life, whether they are
Right.
18 years old, where people say you should be fertile. Don't put those labels on people because you never know what
It's
somebody's
crazy.
going through.
It's crazy, Keisha. There are young women there. Like, I waited later in life to decide to have children.
Mm-hmm.
I got married later in life. Children were not my focus, honestly. Anyone who knows me knows that children, that was not my focus. But there are so many young women, like you said, that are wanting to start their families. And they're like, well, damn, I'm 23 years old. I'm 25 years old. What's the problem? Um, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Some of them have success afterwards and they just need assistance.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be ashamed of it.
No. No.
Keep pushing.
No.
I'm sorry I threw you for a loop. I know you didn't know
No.
that we were going to discuss.
I didn't know, but that's okay. That's okay. Can you, for women that have gone through, losing a child or losing twins, and have not gone to support groups, can you share the benefit of going to a support group? And maybe that'll encourage somebody to go if they need to.
Well, it just lets you know that you're not alone. Because like I said, if your family, your friends, they don't understand because they're not going through it.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have that support system where you can ask questions or just listen without judgment, or just be there, cry, whatever you're feeling at that time, just be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a judgment-free zone right there. So you have nothing to be embarrassed about. You have nothing to feel ashamed about. And it's very helpful. It's definitely very helpful to keep you going.
Right.
I had a girlfriend tell me one time, she was like, if I were you, I would have just stayed in bed. And I said, you know what? I can't do that. Stay in bed and do what?
Right.
Staying in bed is not going to help my situation. Mm-hmm. It's not going to bring my twins back. It's not going to help anything. Right. My husband is just such a support system to me as well, because although we both went through it, we had to be each other's strength at sometimes. Sometimes I saw that he needed me to be the stronger person, and vice versa. So, having that support system, if you don't have a husband, having that support group is very, very helpful. It's helpful for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. As a person who's gone through my own version of loss, and having people try to comfort me, people don't always know how. And then, I thought, foolishly, that when I went through loss and I got better, that I would be able to assist people with their own loss. And that's not true, especially if their loss is different. I was like, Keisha, you know how to do this. But that was my journey. It's not like your journey. So when, your twins did pass, I've been your friend for years. And I didn't know how to help you. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, do I text her? Do I leave her alone? Do I send her something? I had no idea. And so what I would have said to myself when I used to get angry at people for trying to comfort me in a way that I didn't want, what I would say to myself that was going through that was just be grateful they tried. You don't have to let them hang around and make you miserable, but don't condemn them. They tried something, and then just move on and heal in your own way.
Right. Me personally, I got all the text messages, but I didn't feel like talking. I did not feel like talking. I didn't want to communicate. I didn't want to relive. I didn't want to just replay the situation over in my head. So I chose not to talk so much. I did receive the text messages because you used to send me like the little quotes, the little scripture.
I did.
And they were helpful. They were definitely helpful. I would just look at them and, go back to bed because there was a good time that I did spend some time in bed.
Right.
But I knew I had to pull myself out of that. I knew I would be no use. And my thing is this, I try to take the smallest amount of goodness out of the worst situation. My thing is we got to hold our babies. We got to see them. Some women can't even get pregnant. They can't even get that far,
Right.
So in my eyes, even though we weren't able to take them home, I was blessed to see that my daughter had her father's ugly feet and my son looked like me, so those are the things that you get to take. And, I could physically look at my phone and see their picture, so even though they're not here, I've experienced them, and my thing is God said that they weren't for the world to experience. It was just for me and Sean. Yeah. So that's what I hold on to,
Yeah. Take the
that's
piece
what keeps me going, girl.
That's good. That's awesome. That's a blessing. And it's amazing that you're able to take some joy from it. And it's a lesson to all of us, myself included, is that even when things look at their worst, there is joy in every situation. And that's amazing.
Right.
That's amazing.
And that's what keeps me going. I try to lend an ear in these support groups that I'm involved in. I haven't, like I said, you're the first person that I even mentioned the Angel Agency to, but I haven't started promoting my business to them yet. I know that I'm going to be a great help to a lot of women, just to talk to, even if they don't utilize my service, just to have somebody who has gone through it just to talk to and relate to,
Yeah.
and to know that, listen, she went through it and she's moving forward. I will too.
Right.
I'll get past
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it.
You've always been that person though, to lend the ear and things like that. So just to go back for just a small second to our initial encounter.
Oh, Lord.
We're both a little mean. Okay. So
Okay.
neither one of us are always sweet as pie. However,
Right.
our hearts are very good. Very,
Right.
very good. You've got a very good heart. So if somebody meets you on a bad day and they rub you wrong, like, Shashawn's nice. Yes, very much so. Very much so. I
Right.
don't know what you were doing that day, but yes, you are very sweet. You help your community in a lot of different ways. And you also have your company,
Right.
Obee Realty. So what I
Right.
noticed about Obee Realty is something we were talking about just a moment ago, is that you groom your agents. You don't
Yes.
just say, go get clients and make sure you bring back the check. It's not about that. You're grooming them,
No.
and you even encourage them to become their own brokers in
Of
the future.
course.
Right. Why is that important to you, though, to see them flourish?
Because one, when you are a sales agent, okay, you're not supposed to be an agent. You're supposed to be a broker. You're supposed to start your own business. You're an independent agent, and as a sales agent, you are grooming yourself for your own business. Okay, so I try to promote to my client, my agents, that they should start practicing how they would want to practice in their own firm. And it's very important that I train them how to go get leads. I don't do lead generators. I don't buy leads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We hit the pavement and you get your leads from there. I go from the grassroots on getting leads and promoting their business and promoting themselves. Nothing was handed to me in Green Tea. I had to go out there and get it. There are firms where they'll give you a lead sheet and you do cold call.
Mm-hmm.
Cold calling is not effective to me. If I am losing my house or if I'm looking to sell my house, I don't want you to call me on the phone. I would like for you to knock on my door, set up an appointment with me, and meet with me in person, and show me what you have to offer. Why I should sign up with you. So I like to teach my agents not just about the surface of real estate of the sales. I want them to know. I want them to know how to do their due diligence. So when they do encounter someone, they know the full history of that property. Okay, not just saying, okay, well, ma'am, you want to sell your house, and we're going to throw a for sale sign and do an open house. I want them to know the history, when they bought the house, when they acquired their mortgage, if they're in default situation, which is usually my specialty because I deal with distressed houses. I want them to give the seller multiple options on, either getting their loan straight, modification, short sale, putting it on the market for regular sales, because there's several options out there to remediate a distressed property.
Right.
So I like to teach them all. Now, a lot of firms, like I said, they give you a call list, they send you to an open house, and that's it. They don't know anything about the real estate business other than, going to a closing and having their broker write them a check. I like my agents to know about title, because title, all of these things all play a part. So I want them to know from contract to closing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to handle it for them. I want to guide them as they pursue their sale.
Absolutely. So now you've told me your journey about when you started in real estate and where you are today, but when did you know that this was your thing? When did you know that real estate was something that you wanted to stick with?
Well, my last position that I worked at, I worked for a homeless shelter, and I was a housing specialist. So with a housing specialist, basically, we find permanent housing for people that are homeless. So from there, I knew that I wanted to continue to pursue a real estate career. However, not in that sector. I wanted to continue to help people, but just not in the corporate sector because it was just too much politics. And at that time, I was kind of burnt out because I had already done real estate for several years, and I was at my wit's end with corporate America. So I made a decision. Well, it wasn't my decision. I sprained my ankle or fractured my ankle, and I was out of work. So this was my opportunity to either go hard or go home because I made a decision that I was not going back there. So I decided to pursue it full time and I never went back. I had an opportunity to go back to work, but I just went full throttle for myself. And from there, that's just where it took off. I just continued.
That's awesome. That's
Full
awesome.
time.
Yeah, I know.
I knew that I did not want to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my opportunity because when you're off at FMLA, you get like 3 months off.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my opportunity to either go big or go home. And all of my time was centered around me building myself up to create a business.
Right.
Because like I said, I was working a full-time job and doing real estate. So my days consist of 12, 14, 16 hours sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what, I can't do this. I still need time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, at that point, I'm not going to go back, but I have to go hard so I won't be dependent on my job.
Right.
And I went hard. I mean, I hit the pavement. I marketed myself. I got myself involved with other mortgage brokers to, get leads from them, attorneys. I really put myself out there to not go back to work. And I did not. And I have not gone back to work since.
Right. So you were talking about before, you were getting burned out with real estate. Is that accurate?
Well, no, I was getting burned out
with the corporate world.
Working 16 hours, putting in 8 hours at the corporate world and still trying to pursue my real estate career.
Mm-hmm.
At that time in my life, I really wanted to pursue it full time.
Mm-hmm.
My job was my security, but at that time I was like, you know what? I have to pick one. I could sustain myself on my real estate career,
mm-hmm.
but, the extra salary and the medical benefits, all of those things were definitely a factor, but I had to just put myself out there and do it.
Right. What did it feel like when you left your job? Were there nerves?
Liberating.
Was it?
No, it was liberating. Trust me. I was not nervous. I was not nervous at all because I knew I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like God allowed me to sprain my ankle at that time to get that 3 months to say, you know what, this is your opportunity to go hard. And I went hard and I did not go back to work. When it was time for me to go back to work, I was like, oh, sorry, I'm not coming back. I'm going to miss you guys. But no. No. And it's been 8 years since I worked a 9 to 5.
Yeah. I remember when you went back to work because when we met, if I'm correct, we met 11 years ago and you were doing real estate full time. And I believe, is that right?
I wasn't doing real estate full time. Nope.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. But I remember when you got the last job you were at, because I remember when you told me that you were going. And I remember you not being happy about it.
I wasn't.
At all. No.
I wasn't. Mm-mm.
No. And just for the people, because I didn't finish that story, and I'm not going to tell the complete story.
Please don't.
I'm not.
For the sake of both of us.
I'm not. But Shashawn and I met through my son's dad, and they were friends. And his phone was broken.
Were classmates.
They were classmates. Right.
Because I wanted to. Let me just interject one time, right? So I could just get to the meat and potatoes.
Sure.
So at one point, I decided that, okay, I'm doing real estate, but I want to go back to school and pursue my law degree. Mm-hmm. So that's how I met Sean, because we were in school, we were in college together, and he was in my math class. Mm-hmm. And that's how you came into the picture.
Absolutely. And I was just finishing the story where I said we were both mean because we weren't nice to each other on our first meeting.
No, you weren't nice to me.
Okay, I wasn't nice to you. Whatever. I wasn't nice to you. In our second meeting, we were both well receiving to each other, and I actually went to her house. Actually didn't speak to you again until Sean passed. That was my second time speaking to you.
Right.
When you answered the phone, because I had hung up on you previously,
right.
What do you want? I was like, well, this is what happened. And from there, I came to your house. You cooked dinner, and we sat and we talked, we laughed. I probably cried a lot.
We hugged, we
Yes,
cried, we laughed, we just
yes,
reminisced on Sean,
hmm
you know.
And from there, we were stuck. That was it.
Right, right,
That
right,
was it. That was it.
right.
Similar personalities, but you much more in a mature way. I am, just a little bit younger than you, not by that much, but I look at you as the person I might be years from now, attitude-wise.
It took me a long time to evolve into
I
this
know.
person. Girl.
Yes. Yes.
Girl.
Yes. Yes. The woman I knew back then has definitely transformed to the woman you are today.
Most definitely.
And so this is what I wanted to ask you as well. So the person that you are today, you've bought your first home already. You've got your business going. You're married now. Who did you have to become, or who did you have to let go of in yourself to be who you are today?
Whew. Well, wow, that's a tough question right there. Who did I have to let go? Well, I had to let go of a lot of people, because when you surround yourself in certain situations, sometimes you become them as well. So I had to definitely let go of certain situations that were around me. A lot of people that I thought I would never let go of in my life are no longer effective in my life. Not because I don't love them, I hate them, or don't like them, but they are, they're not healthy spirits. And in order to grow to a healthy individual, you have to have healthy spirits around you. And if you don't, you will stay stuck and stagnant. And that's not where I wanted to be. And some of those people are still stuck and stagnant. And I did not want to do that. So for me personally, I had to let go of certain relationships because I'm one that said, well, I used to think that, okay, well, you have a history with this person, you can't let them go. No, you can, and you can move on. You can wish them well, but you have to move on to pursue what you need to become. And once I did that, it's like all of the doors started opening. You've been there. All of the doors started opening. And that's just my advice. Let go of the shit that weighs you down. And excuse my language, but it could be friends, it could be family, it could be boyfriend, it could be a job, it could just be a toxic attitude, it can be anything. You have to let go of it if you want to pursue better within yourself.
I agree. There's always a lot of talk about the 5 people that are closest to you. It reflects who you are as a person, right? So even in stages in my own life, my 5 closest people may have been the only 5 people I knew, and none of these 5 people are doing really well. I'm not speaking about people I know. I'm just speaking hypothetically, right? Just
you have to put yourself on the spot.
It's hypothetical. So let's say, none of these 5 people are doing well, or we're all doing the same thing. Nobody's really moving up.
Right.
If you don't know somebody that is where you want to be, but you have toxic people around you, sometimes you want to keep those toxic people because otherwise you'll be lonely. You won't have anybody else around you. What would you say to do in that instance? So should they just let everybody go and be with themselves and then venture to find people, or should they find people first?
Well, I think that they should start surrounding themselves with like-minded people, with people who they want to, who they see themselves becoming. Start befriending them. Start, going to social events that they're at, because that's where you want to be. And those are the things that you want to learn about. So you should keep company with those type of people. If you have a toxic relationship, toxic friends, toxic family, how are they going to help you? Just for the sake of history? No.
Right.
Sorry, I will not let history repeat itself. I'm good.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that I've had to do in my life, and I've had to work on a balance because I was very quick to let people go. You sneeze on me wrong, you're out. And that's not right. That's not right. There are lines. There are very clear established lines, and if you cross it, you do have to go. But my rules were too rigid, and I was getting rid of people that did not deserve to be gotten rid of. So I had to find a balance. And I think my problem is that I didn't speak up for myself enough. And so when I got fed up, I would cut them off and they had no idea what happened. I never gave them the opportunity to even correct their behavior. And I think that was my problem. You know, I'm sitting here, I'm getting mad and more frustrated, and you don't even know what you did. You know? But
see, I'm on the opposite end of that one. People cut me off and I don't even know what I've done.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm on the opposite. You know, I have people in my life that I thought would be in my life forever. Like I love them down. And you know, whatever they have inside of them, you know, they can't communicate. The friendships and the relationships that I have now are because we don't have a problem communicating, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Those are the friendships and relationships that I am going to nurture in my life, regardless of who it is. Because if we can't communicate and disagree, because we're not always going to agree. If we can't disagree, communicate, and get past it, then I don't have time for it. And I'll cut that person off and keep it moving. Wish them well, but cut them off and keep it moving.
No,
listen, I feel like, you know, I might be a little abrasive, a little bit.
Just a little.
But I feel like at the end of the day, anyone who truly knows me knows that I am always open to have a conversation with anyone. You know, communication is key with anything. If you hate my fucking guts, excuse my language, listen, I can respect you for hating my guts. But we can communicate about it, and maybe at the end of the conversation, you might not hate my guts as much.
Right, and that's true.
But if you don't talk to me about it, we can't get to the root of the problem. You know,
absolutely.
People rather say, "Okay, I'm not going to speak to her anymore," and you're not doing me. You're not hurting me. You're doing me a favor because you're telling me that you're not mature enough to nurture our relationship, and I don't have time for it.
Sometimes people removing themselves from your life is a blessing.
Definitely.
You know, maybe they just had to go. But you know, I've had friendships from, gosh, my oldest friendship is, I think I was 6. I have 2 friendships from when I was 6 years old. And if you think we haven't had falling outs, you're sadly mistaken. And we've definitely, I've been wrong. They've been wrong. We've ignored each other and not spoken and then came back together because we're lifelong friends. There's nothing that's going to get rid of that. And we just have to talk it out and admit where we were wrong. And there are some instances in the relationships I really care about where I know that this part of that person is not going to change, and I have to make the decision to either deal with it or leave it alone. And in some relationships, I'm just going to deal with it. It's like, you know what? I like 90% of you. I don't like that.
Right.
I'll take it. It's cool. You know, the rest of it is fine. So I'll just deal with that. You say some smart stuff sometimes, but it's okay. We'll move forward. Anyway, so I was asking you when you knew you found that real estate was your thing. Like, when did you feel it on the inside that said, you know what, this is it. I'm good at this.
After my first deal, because what happened was I was given the client. I actually took my test. I took my test, I think it was December of 2014. My first deal was in contract February 2015. I mean, not 2015.
I'm like, no, that math's
Lord,
not right.
I'm like, where am I?
Like, that math's not right.
2004. Sorry.
Gotcha. Yeah.
2004, I passed my license. I passed the examination, the state exam, and that was in December. And by February, I had my first deal in contract, and I saw my first check. And I was like, wait a second. I just made $13,000 just showing somebody a house for 10 minutes. Okay, this is what I need to be doing. But I still didn't feel secure enough to go into it full time at that time. My job, my medical benefits, all those things were important to me. And like I said, real estate came secondary. The time where I really felt like, okay, well, you know what, I can really do this is when I decided to leave my job, leave corporate America, and just, you know, pursue it full time. And that was by default. You know, if I hadn't sprained my ankle, I probably would still be working, you know, for someone else, still doing real estate, but I don't know if Obee Realty would be here.
Right.
Now my husband has a division off of the real estate career that I built. He
Mm-hmm.
has Dublin home inspection. So, I recruited him in.
You're right.
I recruited him into the business. So I don't think any of that would have came about if I didn't take that plunge and believe in myself
Right,
at the
right.
time.
Do you think at the time when you decided to leave your job that you were financially ready and mentally ready? Were you ready on both sides?
I wasn't, at that time, um, financially, because I did make a lot of money because I still have my full-time job in real
Mm-hmm.
estate career. But I was spending money frivolously then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking a vacation every other month. I'm buying designer bags and, just not being financially, responsible with
Mm-hmm.
my money at the time.
Right,
I
right,
swear, if I knew what I knew back then, I would have done so many things differently.
right,
But I wouldn't change it though.
right.
But at that time, my head was definitely into it. Financially, I was good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, I had my car, I had my place.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a situation where, I was doing bad, but I can do better. I could
Mm-hmm.
have done better,
Right. But
but
you
I
learned.
could have made better choices at the time. Now that I look back at it, I definitely could have, but
Mm-hmm.
it's part of my experience,
Yeah.
part of the growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you left your job, you're doing real estate full time, and then you birthed Obee Realty. What was the mindset shift between agent and broker?
Well, I
What
was kind of forced into that because the
Yeah.
agency shut down. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like sink or swim.
Right.
But thankfully, my cousin, Philip Lights, he's an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And as an attorney, you can automatically apply for a broker's license.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate was not his field. But at the time, I needed someone to sponsor me,
Mm-hmm.
until I could take my broker's license.
Right.
And, he said, you know what, cuz, whatever you need, he signed my broker's paperwork. And from there, I was an individual broker. I didn't start Obee Realty. I didn't start Obee Realty until last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I was an individual broker. And then I wanted to create something for my family
Mm-hmm.
because, again, we had no businesses in our family, and I wanted to create a space for the young adults, whoever, to always have somewhere to go. As long as you put your effort into it, you'll always have a job.
Right.
I wanted to create a situation like that. I didn't always want to have a brokerage at all because I feel like just my daily grind is enough. And then you have to deal with multiple personalities, training. So you have to, outside of yourself, put in a lot of work into other people.
Right.
And it's rewarding because I see the benefits of it.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people look at where you are, or may look at where you are right now and see that as impossible. And obviously it is not impossible.
Right.
And I feel like, and I do it myself, is that we look at somebody's, and this is obviously not your end story, but let's just call it the end for the sake of what I'm saying. We'll look at the end story and it just seems so big that now we say to ourselves it's unattainable. Like, well, how can I possibly have a brokerage? But there are steps that it takes to get there, right? So the person that is, they want to be a broker, they want to have their own company, that is looking at you right now, what would you tell them to do to start today? They're fresh, they've never done real estate, they don't even know a broker. Where should they go?
Well,
today?
in order to even be a real estate agent, they have to work under a sponsoring broker. So first and foremost, I would tell them to do their research, figure out why they want to get into this business. Like I said, when I pursued this business, I didn't even want to. That was just something that I did because I had the time to do it, But at first, they need to figure out why they would want to pursue a career in this business. It's very competitive. There's so many real estate agents out there. It's just ridiculous. So you have to, one, figure out why you want to do it. Two, kind of set yourself at a higher level. You have to set yourself Because there are so many people out here doing this, you have to kind of set yourself apart for someone from the others. Now, because I have a background in legal studies, I do so many things. I do property management, I know how to draft documents, legal documents. I do have an attorney that is my colleague, and he's a mentor too, and he work closely together. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything that I can suggest is that find a mentor. Mm-hmm. Okay, find a mentor, someone that is going to kind of take you under their wing and guide you. Because most brokerages, they care about your sales because they want your check.
Right.
I'm not doing it for anybody's check. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it to teach them how to create a business for themselves. Right. Most brokerages are, first of all, they're charging you all types of fees, a desk fee, this fee, this fee. I don't charge my agents any fee. I charge them, we have our agreement for our split, and that's it. I don't charge them any type of astronomical fees because I feel like it's unnecessary. Right. I'm not trying to get rich off of anybody. I'm not trying to make money off of anybody. I'm trying to teach you the business, mentor you. Of course, I'll get my compensation for that if you happen to make a deal, but I'm not trying to scrounge over anybody's situation at all. Right.
So where a stopping point may come for some people is finding that mentor. That can be hard. If you don't know anybody that is in that field personally or anything like that, it can be difficult to find a mentor. But I know that there are resources. For instance, in Georgia, and I spoke with Diana. I did a interview with her recently regarding mentors. So there are online resources for free mentorship. Do you know of any resources where they could either go online or meetups, of course, when COVID's over? Any resources that a newbie could take hold of and find a mentor if they don't know anybody personally?
Well, one of my agents, he actually told me prior to joining, because he just got licensed. Mm-hmm. So he informed me that he would go into different real estate groups and, kind of listen. And, after he would check like the Zoom meetings or webinars from these real estate groups, he would come back to me and say, well, what do you think about this? And, but if he didn't have me, I don't even know. I can't even think, because I'm trying to think back to myself, like, who was my mentor at the time?
Right.
Right. I really didn't have one. Mm-hmm. Actually, I did, because the managing partner at the firm that I worked for, I'll never forget her. I swear I will never forget her. She was an Irish lady. Her name was Eileen Breslin. And she said to me, I was her paralegal. So she came to my desk one day and she said, you know what, Shashawn, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I just looked at her because I was like, right here. I'm thinking in my head like, well, where else am I going to be? I'm going to be right here. She was like, no, with your type of personality, you need to be a boss. I want this for you. This woman had so many aspirations for me that I didn't even know I had myself. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, you need to create your own business. She was all about like empowering women. She was like, I went to Yale Law School, and I went for free. If you need anything, you need a sponsor, you need anything, you need me to write you a letter, I'm there. And at first, before I even know I needed a mentor, she was my mentor in my head. So to say all of that, you might already have a mentor that you don't even think that is your mentor. Yeah. Anybody that is being positive or pushing you forward in a positive direction could be considered a mentor.
You're right. Absolutely. I've had experiences like that. I got into the car business by accident, much like you got into real estate by accident.
Right. I remember when you got into the car business.
Right, but by a guy that had sold me a car previously.
Right, the Nissan dealership.
Yeah. He had sold me that car in 2008, and I got in the car business in 2012. And we had always stayed in contact. One, because he knew Sean. So first we stayed in contact because I was harassing him about my car. There's no other way to put it. I was harassing him. And I guess they liked the harassment because they used to always ask me to come and work for them. I'm like, man, I'm making $20,000 a year. I'm straight.
I'm good.
Girl. Right?
I'm good.
So, I mean, but he was always in my ear saying, you know, you seem like you could do this and do that, and I believe in you, and blah, blah, blah. And it took 4 years, 4 years for me to finally say, hey, I want to be on board. And he was still willing to take me and teach me and mentor me. And that's why I was speaking about that daily. He used to go over it with me, as well as the GM, the general manager. He also went over it with me, but because I had that connection. But if you pay attention to the people that are hyping you up and telling you all the good things about yourself that are true, they will lead you to other connections. You know, I didn't know that GM. And then meeting that GM, I met other people. So just, you know, follow along with the person that's hyping you up, and you'll find it. You'll find it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you stumble right into it and you don't even know.
Right. Like I said, this woman was a mentor to me before I even thought about it. You know?
Right.
Before I even thought about it.
Right. You just never know. Another resource that I've used for myself was YouTube. When I definitely had mentors around me, but didn't feel like I did, right? So I would look up stories that were similar to mine, the stories I was interested in. I wanted to see rags to riches stories. That was my thing. And every day on my way to work, I would just watch these motivational videos of people who were living on the streets and now they're gazillionaires. And it was just inspiring. I'm like, oh, wow, you did that. I can do that. And I just get very excited about that. So, hey, if you have downtime, I would advise, watch a little YouTube. You know, you might just get inspired, you know, draw the picture, write the book, do what you got to do, you know. So your old mentor asked you what you wanted to do in 5 years. Do you know now what you want to do in 5 years?
In 5 years from now? 5 years from now, I want the angel agency to be a success. I would like to bring some joy to some families, you know, to create their families. Ultimately, what I want to do in another 15 years, I want to be on a tropical island, you know, having a bed and breakfast, just relaxing. You know, I'm not chasing the dollar. You know, I'm not trying to be a gazillionaire. I'm trying to be financially comfortable. And I never thought that I would be as comfortable as I am financially right now.
Right.
But I'm not a gazillionaire, but I don't have to go to work. I don't have to go to work.
Right. And it took,
but it took hard work, you know, it took hard work, dedication. When everybody else was going to the parties, I was, you know, at meetings, you know, I was showing places, I was, you know, prospecting houses. So I had to choose back then, you know, I had to choose my career and what I wanted to do in my future to prepare for my future, you know, opposed to party.
Right. Because it could have just been a longer struggle for you.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it does take, I look at my life and I definitely wouldn't change anything about my journey, but I look at all the time I wasted. All the time I wasted partying and having fun and really not being productive. Just not being productive. And I don't know what happened. Like, there are like spurts in my life where mainly I'm responsible and motivated. I'm always doing something. But there are moments in my life, little like year moments, where I'm not doing a thing. And it's like, then the year passes, I'm like, what was that? That's not even you. What were you doing? You were just chilling all year? That's it? What you have to show for it? Debt? But sometimes maybe we need that sometimes, because I did get tired of myself. And every time I've come out of a rut like that, I've always catapulted, because I was just really tired of myself and almost ashamed of myself, not embarrassed, but ashamed of myself, saying, Keisha, you know you're better than that.
Definitely.
And showing myself that I could do better, you know? And I think it's unfortunate. I always think of how to inspire people, how to motivate people. And my fear is that everybody has to hit their own personal rock bottom. I really feel like people do have to hit it.
They do.
Yeah, and it's not avoidable. And that sucks, because I really, really want to help people avoid it.
No. I feel like if I've never hit my rock bottom, I wouldn't have gotten the strength and character that I've developed.
It's true.
You know, it's a necessity.
It is.
It definitely is a necessity. When you're going through it, you're like, oh my God, why? Why am I going through this? You know? but it builds your strength and character, and it also shows who you should and should not have around in your circle too.
It
Um,
does.
Depending on what your circumstances at that time when you hit rock bottom. So my rock bottoms, I always came out like a champion out of them, by myself. I don't drag people into my stuff. I'm kind of like I'm not an introvert, I'm an extrovert. But as far as when I am in a situation, I don't drag people in it. I don't even have a pity party. I'm like, all right, Sean, you going through this at this moment? Okay, take this moment, figure it out, devise a plan, and get your ass up.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing. There's nothing.
Right. You have to save yourself.
I had my first apartment at 18 years old. Okay, my first apartment, my first car, and I was going to school. Okay, and working 2 full-time jobs. So from me, like I've never had anybody to fall back on. It was always me. It was like, okay, you have to do this. If you don't do this, then what are your options? Right.
A little bit of pressure is good.
To go, I didn't have the traditional family structure where I can say, you know what, I'm going back home. No, all right. I didn't have that. I didn't have a husband at the time to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna lean on him. No, get your ass up, go do what you need to do, and make it happen. And I'm so thankful that it played out like that, because that makes me appreciate the things that I'm dealing with now even more. It makes me appreciate my husband even more, that we know that we are true partners. It's not a codependency, it's a partnership. So that right there in itself, just everything in my life right now, I'm just so thankful for the struggle that I came from.
It's necessary. And as much as I hate that it's necessary, and I don't hate it for myself, I'm grateful for my struggle. I'm grateful for my journey. But because I went through that and I know how it feels and it sucks, I so just want to help people avoid it. But you can't.
You can't. Girl, you can't.
They won't be wise, I won't say they won't be wise, but it'll make you so much wiser if you go through your own struggle. And all I pray is that you survive it. Because if you survive it, you're good.
Right.
It's a great place to catapult from.
It sure is, girl. Bye. Bye. It sure is.
Yes. So tell the people where they can find Obee Realty.
Well, Obee Realty, I have a Facebook page, Obee Realty LLC on Facebook, also on Instagram, Obee Realty LLC. I haven't started doing anything with the Angel Agency, but I do want to revisit our interview once it's up and running.
I'm excited too.
Hopefully I'll have some testimonies from people who feel comfortable enough to discuss their journey as well. But I'm like, that is my baby right now. That is like, I'm cradling that baby.
So tell me how you'll be facilitating expectant mothers. How will you be helping them?
Well, with the agency, I'll be matching. So I call myself, like, I'm a real estate broker now, but once the agency is up and running, I'll be a baby broker. So with the agency, we are going to match parents, potential parents, with angels, surrogates who want to carry their baby. The baby will be biologically connected to them. So it'll be, whether it's because we have different types of families these days. We have LGBT community, we have traditional man and woman, we have single women that want to have children on their own, we have single men that want to have children on their own. But as long as the child is genetically connected to them, they have parental rights from gestational period. Okay. So the Angel Agency will be facilitating the matching to make sure that the proper paperwork is done with attorneys, psychological evaluations, medical examinations, background checks. So we'll be responsible for doing all of that and making sure everything is intact. Good. As I said, we can't start anything until February 15th, 2021. But right now, we're still cradling, and we hope to start interviewing potential matches. That way, once the law passes, we'll be able to up and go. I'm excited. I'm so excited about this.
I'm excited for you. I really am.
You have no idea how
I
excited
really am. I'm super excited for you because I know you thought about the idea of surrogacy. So I'm imagining, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you had certain experiences with looking for a potential person to carry your baby.
Right.
And you're going off of that experience to try to make this an even better experience for other moms and dads.
Definitely. Girl, I mean, like I said, it's not legal in New York, and in order for you to do it now, it has to be a friend or family member, and they can't be compensated, and that's a lot to ask of someone.
Right.
You know, and I'm not even talking about carrying the baby, just to prepare their body to carry the baby, because you know you're telling your body you're pregnant when you're not. So you have to. It's a grueling process in the preparation. So that in itself is a lot. It's definitely a lot. The injections, just the whole process.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And to make it easier for someone, and just to let them know that, listen, I've gone through it myself. I understand. I understand that, you know, you search to Timbuktu to possibly find somebody, and you know they still couldn't facilitate it.
Right.
In New York, there was a case back in 1983, Baby M. I don't know if you remember this, but they had paid for, because surrogacy in New York is against the law. They had paid for a traditional surrogacy. Now, traditional surrogacy is when the carrier or the surrogate uses their egg, and you know, the sperm or whatever. So they would carry the baby, and they would be genetically attached to the baby. And in this particular case, Baby M, the surrogate decided she wanted to keep the baby. You know, so that was a big thing. Now, with the age-old agency and the new law that's going to be passed, it can't be a traditional surrogacy. It's only a gestational, where the baby is not, the embryo is not genetically attached to the surrogate.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You've done your homework, and
okay, girl, you know
I know you have.
Right.
I know if you handle this like you've handled the other ventures in your life, I know that this is going to be amazing, and these moms and dads are going to have an amazing experience. I can't wait to see more. I can't wait. I'm going to have you back on so we can talk about it.
I'm excited. I can't wait to talk about it because, like I said, this is something that, you know, a lot of women they just go through, and they go through it alone, you know. And if they don't have friends and family that have experienced it, they don't talk about it. See, me, I don't mind talking. If somebody asks me a question about my journey, I don't mind sharing, because that they might be internalizing something that they might not be telling me. So me sharing with them might help them, you know, get through that day, or, you know, let them know that it's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that's one thing I always try to impress on people, is that you will be okay.
Right.
You will be okay. Going through my own version of loss, yeah, at the time it seems hopeless. It seems like you'll never be better. How could I ever feel better? I went through a phase where I felt guilty for smiling. And that was weird, because he wasn't around to smile.
Right, so I'm like,
right, well, the nerve of me to be having a good time, and you can't ever have a good time, which is not true, because I believe in God, and so I know now that is not true. But I had that guilt where I just did not want to have a good time. I did not want to smile or anything like that. And so I get it when people they're in that hole, and they just feel like it won't be better. But yes, it will.
It will.
Yes, it will.
And your story is going to be a testimony to someone else. You know, you just keep pushing it, you know, and don't be ashamed to share it.
No. I told somebody today, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but the times in my life I was ashamed of certain parts of my journey, and I would lie about it. I've lied about why I moved to Georgia. You know, it was because Sean died. I've lied about that. I've lied about where I worked, when I used to work as a deli clerk. There was nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, I was so proud of you. What? Well, I'm still like so proud of you, but I was like, Keisha, you went down there and got a job. And on top of that, you hustling cars on the side and what? And you got your own plate. You forgot about that, right?
I was.
You forgot about that, right?
It
But
was
I was
fun.
proud of you too. Like just to go down there and just take off. Like
It took a while though, because I was in a hole for from August to June. I wasn't doing anything.
right.
Nothing. It took me a little minute. And in June, I told some of this story in another interview, is that I had my tax money, but I didn't finish that. I got my tax money and used that to buy my car because I didn't have a car. And in June, I woke up one day and I was just sick of myself. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You gonna sleep again? You gonna sleep again? You gonna take another nap? Get up. You don't have a car, you have a job, you have a place. Like, are you serious? Get up. So I got sick of myself. And yes, I did start doing those things, but I lied about my story a lot because I was ashamed of it.
Right.
And now it's a testimony. It was a testimony then, but it's a testimony now. Yeah, you can, and you can start from very little, and you can build yourself up.
Right.
You know, you know me for a lot of my journey moving up, and it's hard, and nobody's gonna lie to you and tell you it's not hard. It's hard, and you're gonna cry and be sad, but you'll be happy, and you'll be proud of yourself.
You did it. Yes. You did it. You kept going, and you're still going. Like, I'm so proud of Tied Together. Like,
oh, thank you.
Just to think that you created all of this just because you wanted to have somebody to teach your son how to tie a dye.
Girl,
but look how many other lives that you've impacted just from that.
I'm not even proud of myself about that. It's so
weird. I'm proud of you. Are you kidding me?
I feel like it's me. Like, I feel like the facilitator. That's how I feel.
Okay.
I feel like the person that has a good idea and lots of other people are helping me execute it. Right. So yeah, I have a good idea, but it's a weird feeling. I know it's a good thing. It's nothing I'm ashamed of, obviously. I know it's a good thing, but it's not something that I'm like, look what I did. Because it doesn't feel like that. It really doesn't. I just had an idea and awesome people helped me to bring it to life. So that's it.
It's like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it started from something.
And, it did, from the tie. My tie not knowing how to tie a tie, which is so weird for a thing to come from.
Right. I remember when we had the conversation, you were like, I want to do this because, there's other little boys just like my son that don't have anybody to show them how to tie a tie. Mm-hmm. And to look how much you created from this,
Crazy.
Look how many lives you impacted just from that one act of goodness. Mm-hmm. All it takes is one act of goodness.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
It really, and still today, my hope is, my hope in this whole nonprofit is that I could change one person's life forever.
Right.
Just one. And I know I've touched, like physically touched, or people have seen thousands at this point. But to this day, I just want one person's life to be changed for the better. And it could have happened already, and maybe I didn't hear.
I think it did already.
Possible. I haven't heard about it, but that's what I want.
Like, just to have firefighters come to, see young men and they, okay, well, they actually care about us enough to come and show us. That right there is impactful.
Yeah.
They're going to remember that 15 years from now. They're going to be telling their children about that.
I hope so. I hope so. And I hope it changes the volunteers' lives too. Because even as adults, we're touched by children. Definitely. They definitely touch our hearts and teach us things. So that's my hope in that. Enough about me. That's my hope. Shashawn, tell me a quote that you live by.
Oh, girl, I don't know a quote that I live by.
No?
Why would you ask me this question? I don't freaking know. Keisha, you know me. I don't have a quote that I live by. Just live. Live and let live. That's it.
There you go.
Live and let live. That's it. Because you only got 24 hours, and whatever you choose to do in that time is on you. Mm-hmm. So live and let live. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I can't wait to have you back on. To all my guests that are watching, listen. Go on Obee Realty. Just follow her journey, follow her as she continues to increase and help the world. The Angel Agency is coming soon.
I cannot wait. I'm so passionate. You don't know, Keisha. Forget anything else. This right here.
That's it.
It's just like, that's my baby. I gave birth today to my baby. I'm so excited.
When did it come up? When did you think about this for the first time?
Yesterday. No, not yesterday. I'm lying. It was Saturday.
Wow.
And the next interview that we have,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you what prompted me to come up with this.
Okay.
Outside of my own journey, but
Yeah.
I don't want to share that part yet.
Okay. I'm excited. I love how things like that happen in somebody's life. I've had it happen in my life where it's like, and I'll tell you. So Hazel was my first interview.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I aired the 5th interview, she said, I really love this idea. She said, when did you come up with it? I said, remember when I texted you and I said, hey, I want to do an interview series. Do you want to be my first guest? She said, yeah. I said, about 30 seconds before that.
But that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah.
It
And
happens like that. Right.
Like,
right.
It's wonderful. I wish you much success. I know you're good, girl.
We'll see what God takes me. My journey's not over yet, right? I have a story. It's not over yet. I'm still here. You're still here. I can't wait. I'm so excited to know you. I'm so glad we met. It was definitely destiny.
It definitely was.
It was 100% destiny for us to meet.
Because I don't even like people like that. And for you to be all nasty to me, I was like, ew. with the neck movement and everything, I was like, ew. Sean, what's up with your girlfriend?
I hung up the phone. I was like, bye. But it worked out.
Yes, definitely.
For sure.
Definitely.
It's like that sometimes. That's why we talk about giving people grace and forgiving people, because we already cut each other off and reset. And then look, you have a great relationship from it.
Right, but a relationship takes two people.
It does, yeah.
Who will participate.
And it took both of us. And I think I apologized to you for hanging up on you, our second conversation.
Yes. But at that time, I wasn't even thinking about anything. I was just thinking about the second conversation, like, what?
Right. Right.
So we can stay on this thing for all day.
I know. I'm excited to have had you. I can't wait to have you back on, Shashawn, and keep us updated, okay?
Listen, I definitely will. I want to do another interview February 16th, the day after that law changes, and let you know where we are with the Angel Agency from there. Because
I put in my calendar.
I am so excited about that project. Like, there's been no other project in my life that I've been more excited about. That project is like my baby. I gave birth.
You were bubbling on the inside.
You don't even know.
I can't wait.
I'm definitely bubbling on the inside. I'm stoked about that.
Well, I'll put it in my calendar, and we will see you back here. Well, I will see you on the 16th. They will see you a little after that.
That's fine. They'll see me eventually.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shashawn.
Thank you for having me, Keisha.
You're very welcome.
And tied together. I love your non-for-profit. All the children benefiting from this. Like, you are such an angel for, stepping outside of yourself to give to others. That's definitely some angel shit right there. Look, I wouldn't be me without using a little bit of profanity. That's definitely some angel shit. I love it.
Thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.
I believe that positive energy is everywhere, and you just have to find it. If you're not looking for it, you need to start opening up your eyes to look for things that are positive. I was like, I don't know how, but I know me getting away or getting to a point where I got my own stuff, my own crib, my own thing. I think that's more success than me looking all fly and I'm in mom's basement. That was another instance of one of the 6 times, I guess, where it kind of reminded me like, nah, bro. Shape up, don't lose yourself, you know what I mean? And just seeing her, it really sparked motivation back in me, at that time. So appreciation, there's joy in that, and finding those things that you have already, just your life, just you getting up in the morning. Now you may see turmoil around you, I see it too, but when you could go outside and say, dang, there's life, then your life is worth living as well.